Well, hello friends, and thank you so much for tuning in to Fun Ahead TV. If you've been around the channel for a long time, then you are very familiar with this car. If you're brand new to the channel and you're here because of the auction, well, welcome. I hope you like what you see. This right here is my 1986 Porsche 944. It's a vehicle that I've had for a couple of years now, and unfortunately, it is time for me to sell it. I'll explain a little bit more as to why I decided to sell it towards the end of this video, but for now, I want to go ahead and give you guys a thorough tour of this car, show you all of the good, all of the bad. We'll then get it out on the road, take it for a test drive, see how it drives. We'll also talk about my ownership experience with this car, my history with it, what all I've done with it, and we'll talk about what I know this car's history to have been up until this point and prior to my ownership, and we'll go ahead and talk about, of course, why I'm selling it. So that's a lot. We've got to go ahead and cover quite a few things. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
Go back, drop in, and just smack the.
Alrighty, so what is the deal with this car? This is a 1986 Porsche 944 base model. It has the 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder engine, was good for about 150 horsepower. This is an all original car. Odometer is currently reading 111,000 miles, which I can tell you right off the bat is actually incorrect because this car, like so many 944s, suffered from the notorious odometer gear failure. I actually just fixed the odometer gear. It is working wonderfully now. Now, on the note of this car's spec, for all you Porsche files out there, let's go ahead and peep this car's build sticker and decode the old option codes. CO2, it had catalytic converters from the factory. It does not anymore. Many 944s do not, just so you know. I-47, I have no idea what that one is. I could not find it on the internet anywhere. 401, light metal wheels. It does have the Fuchs. We can talk about that later. The very desirable option for these 944s. 404, stabilizer bars front and rear. 425, rear window wiper. 533, alarm system. 650, sunroof. 946, leather/leatherette seats. Starting in the front here, nothing huge to note except for it does have fog lights. I don't believe they're original, but they do work and they're quite bright. Looking across the bumper and the hood, there are a few nicks in the paint. Some have been touched up, some have not. And also on the right front fender, you do see a little bit of sun fade/patina. Now with regards to the sides and the back of the car, honestly, not that much to mention. Everything looks pretty dang good back here. Pretty nice for an all original car. There are a couple of those sun fade/patina marks. Specifically, there are two kind of decent sized ones on the roof. But other than that, the back and sides of this thing look pretty decent. Now, I just realized I forgot to mention one little minor exception about the back end of the car. On the right rear of the car, near the fender, there is an area where there has been touch-up paint applied to the car. If you look at the Carfax, you can see that this car was involved in an accident at some point in its life on the right rear of the car. That is where I believe that to have happened. Now, as I mentioned, this thing does have the lightweight wheel package. These are the Fuchs from the factory, and they even have the lightweight aluminum lug nuts. And I don't know if that's a thing that every 944 had or if it was just part of that particular option, but it is crazy how light these wheels are, and when you're just holding one of these lug nuts, how insanely light they are. So the originality of this car continues on the interior. For the most part, this thing is in very good shape for being a 40-year-old vehicle. It does have a few little blemishes here and there. The driver's seat base does have a tear in it. It does not have the original floor mats in the car, but I do have some original Porsche ones that I will include with the sale that came with this car, but they're very discolored, so I've actually never put them in this car. And the little rubber base that is stitched into the original carpeting of the car is kind of torn up. Clearly someone drove this thing for a while without a floor mat in it. And also it does not have the factory radio in it. Somewhat unrelated to interior, but kind of, but sort of, but kind of not. When you're getting in and out of the interior, you get to open and close the doors, which is one of the greatest parts about an old Porsche. You're welcome. All right, now let's take a quick look in the trunk and I'll show you what kind of goodies we've got in here. So in the trunk, we have more all originality. The original carrying case for the sunroof is back here, and the original spare tire and toolkit is back here as well. Someone installed some really janky aftermarket Pioneer speakers. Just another point of transparency. Now, for the most part, everything on this car works, which is fascinating considering its age and originality. But one of the things that no longer works is the sunroof's electric motor. It did work when I originally bought the car. It worked wonderfully. However, at some point, for some reason, that electric motor inside that gearbox has since seized up. It will, however, open manually, and I'll show you how that's done, and another kind of cool bit of originality as well. So you pop a couple quick snap buttons on the side carpet here to reveal the sunroof motor. And right next to it, attached to this bracket, is the special tool that manually actuates the sunroof. So the sunroof motor no longer actuates electronically, but it can be removed using this special tool in just a few minutes. All right, now no interior tour would be complete without taking a peek inside the glove box. Now, first and foremost, that's just my registration. We'll go ahead and set that aside. Right off the bat, you can see two of the most useless cup holders of all time, and then the normal glove box space. And behind that, 944s have this super awesome secret cubby where you can keep your registration if you want, or your manuals, etc., so that you're not impeding on the normal glove box space. So that's the original manual. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at it. First of all, right away, check out that Porsche crest stamped into this manual booklet. Let's see what we got inside. So here's the original owner's manual for the 944 Turbo for the 1986 model year. All of the maintenance information, etc., that you could possibly think of. I'm not sure what this is. All right, and then this is the warranty and maintenance pamphlet. This is also the radio installation manual. We don't need that. So this is cool because in here you can see, okay, this is the day that the car was purchased originally. Original date, 5/20/86. There's the stamp of the Porsche dealership in 1986. And then when we flip to the back here, we can actually see maintenance records that were stamped with various dealerships and service shops. Anyway, this kind of stuff to me is just super freaking cool. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a quick peek under the power barn. There she is. So here it is. And as you can see, for those of you who know 944s, everything under here is very original for the most part. Original airbox, all original intake manifold, original exhaust headers, still has power steering, has the original cruise control module, which works, by the way. It actually has a lovely feel when you're cruising down the road. Now, just a couple things to note under here. First of all, how freaking cool is that engine? That valve cover with the big Porsche on it. I just, every time I open this hood, I'm like, dude, that's so sick. I know this engine to be healthy, runs very well, runs strong, and is impressive for just a 40-year-old engine, little four-cylinder, you know, 1980s four-cylinder. So I have done quite a bit of work to this thing, and this kind of semi-segues into my history with the car and what I know the history of this car to have been. It sat for a very long time prior to my ownership, almost 10 years is my understanding. So when I bought it, it had a ton of deferred maintenance, and I went ahead and did all of the maintenance on this thing, all of the belts, so balance shaft belt, timing belt, and then the power steering pump belt and the serpentine belt. This thing has way too many belts, but all of them are only, let's see, coming up on 2 years old, I guess, but I probably put, I don't know, 1,500 miles on this car in my ownership. So mileage-wise, these things are extremely fresh. I went through the trouble of replacing and refurbishing and getting 4 working, non-leaking injectors. And when I bought this car, 2 of the injectors, one in particular, but 2 were leaking. One very, very badly. Like, you could not run this car for more than 30 seconds without fuel just running down the front of the engine. While we are under here, I just want to make mention of the couple things that I'm aware of that aren't 100% on this. One of which is the power steering pump leaks slightly. Again, that's a very, very common 944 thing. A lot of guys delete their power steering pumps because they all start leaking. This one just has a slow, gradual drip. It will occasionally leave a drip on my garage floor, but not that often. And you can see evidence of it underneath the car. The headlight motor is a little lazy. The lights do come up and down, but you kind of have to help them. But sometimes it'll randomly just pop them right up. I don't really know the rhyme or reason as to why it gets lazy. Sometimes it just does. As you can see, we are missing one of the beauty covers for the one that goes over the battery. No big deal. I don't know where that was, but these things are kind of like this flimsy, cheap plastic to begin with, so no surprise that that has broken over time. I don't know if there was one on this side. And the air conditioning is not functioning on this vehicle. Okay, with all that said, I think it's a pretty good time to go ahead, fire this thing up, and take it for a quick spin. Alrighty, now bear with me for 2 seconds, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the obligatory touching of the exhaust manifold to prove to you that this is a true cold start. So just one continuous shot. All right, just setting off here, getting this thing up to temperature. As I mentioned, this thing is such a lovely little cruiser. Go ahead and set the cruise control just to show you. There, taking my foot off the gas. We are cruising right along. This thing is such a fun, playful car, and it just feels so light in your hands. I mean, it doesn't even matter that the engine only makes 150 horsepower. The chassis is so just nimble and enjoyable to drive. And the engine really likes to be in the upper RPM range. That's where it makes its power. That's where it just runs the best. It is a fixed cam timing engine and valve lift engine. So you can really tell that they optimized it for that upper half of the RPM range. The transmission is definitely geared with that in mind because first through fourth gears are very close ratio, but fifth gear is very much like an overdrive. So it is your highway cruising gear. It really sets your RPMs down quite a bit, gets you that better fuel economy. All right, so cruising along right now in fifth. Let's go down to fourth, get down to third. Pedal position is absolutely optimal for heel toe, by the way. So we can feel a little bit of that second, close ratio into third, close ratio into fourth. Coming up to the stop sign here. Again with the heel toe. Pedal position is amazing in this car. Here we come up to this little corner in the road. Downshift into third. This thing's so much fun. And this suspension has such a 1980s mentality to it. Very floaty, very compliant. It is all original suspension, mind you, but that's just the way that they kind of set cars up back then. But it makes this thing absolutely perfect for these country roads. These roads aren't 100% perfect, but you know, if you take a modern day sports car on a road like this, you're just gonna be doing this the whole time. This thing absolutely just soaks up these bumps and it stays like on rails the entire time. Sorry, it is super windy outside right now, so if you hear that, my apologies. Oh, and the suspension and the steering, everything is so good. By the way, the brakes are very responsive as well. Man, this car, I don't know why am I selling this thing? Ugh. By the way, speaking of suspension, I did just recently replace the lower ball joints on both right front and left front because the left front had failed. So this thing does have fresh ball joints on the front end. And the transmission just feels so nice too. All right, now let's talk this car's history real quick, and then we'll go ahead and talk about why I'm selling it. So this car had, my understanding is 2 primary owners. Technically there have been more owners for this car than that, but I think some of them have been dealerships in between the 2. I bought it from this family who owns an enthusiast car dealership up in Youngstown, Ohio. It's called Armando's. If you want to give them a call and ask them about this car, you're more than welcome to do so. Just trying to be transparent. He said he is familiar with this car from back into early 90s probably. He knows of this car for a long time. Knew both of the original owners, both of the original longtime owners. Unfortunately, it does seem like one of the longtime owners did fall into some not ideal health and ended up having to kind of park this car up for a long time. So I think it was parked in the 2014-ish era. So then I bought the car and I have had it for almost 2 years now. My intention with the car was to buy a cheap Porsche, fix it up, get it running again, kind of resurrect it, take it to a few autocross events and prove that I could be competitive against the big dog Miatas, and then sell it. My intention was to own this car for like 4 or 5 months tops. Well, here I am 2 years later. This car has kind of fulfilled that purpose. I need to keep that original mentality behind this car in mind. It's taken up garage space, and as much as I absolutely love the car, I need to kick it on down the road and move it on to the next owner. So that is why I'm selling it. I don't want to sell it, but it's time. I've said it on the channel for over a year now that I'm selling this car, and it's still here. So that's why I'm getting rid of it. I don't want to. I love the heck out of this car. I love 944s. And I'm glad I got to experience one, and I got to experience a good one. Additionally, one of the super duper freaking cool things about 944 ownership, aside from the car itself, is the 944 community. Shout out to the 944 community, because that is a very hardcore group of enthusiasts. They are super duper into these cars. There are online databases, like encyclopedias of 944 knowledge out there, outside of just forums, like true like websites that people have made. So any little thing that goes wrong on one of these cars, you can look it up and find pages of detail about how to fix it, wiring diagrams, like you name it. And there's a 944 Fest, an annual festival where people bring, I don't know, hundreds of 944s. So if you want to not only own a cool car, but you want to be part of a super cool car community, look no further. Okay, now as I'm making and editing this video, I went back through the Carfax to just kind of refresh my own memory on what the Carfax shows so that we can better understand how many miles could have possibly been added to the car since the odometer actually broke. So like I mentioned, it was parked for about 10 years, and that's my understanding. Now here is the first very close mileage to what the odometer read when I first bought the car, 110,948. It was 110,950 when I bought it. So 110,948, it was serviced at Armando's, which is where I bought it. And then we go another year, over a year, and then it reads 110,949. Several years later, 3 years later, it reads 110,950. Again, that's what it read when I bought it. So in 2014, when it read 110,948, that's what it read when it pulled into Armando's to get this servicing. Who knows how long it had been reading that, because again, we don't see any records between 2012 and 2014. I think it had already started kind of sitting at that time. And then my guess is the odometer gear started to break down in that time, and just what little bit of driving they did with it, it then stopped working, or maybe it would work a little bit and would advance 1 or 2 miles every time they drove it. And eventually the gear just completely disintegrated altogether and stopped at 110,950. Like I said, this car sat basically from somewhere between 2012 and 2015, or 2014 is when it first started to sit apparently. And it did so until I bought it in January of 2024. And I didn't add more than, I would say, 1,500 miles to the car. So I believe that even though it's a TMU situation, I don't believe that the mileage is actually that much higher than what the odometer currently states. It's within, I would say, a couple thousand miles. And there you have it, folks. My 1986 Porsche 944 for sale now over at Cars and Bids. Thank you all again so much for being here today. If you're new to Fun Ahead TV and you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing to see even more Fun Ahead TV content coming down the pipeline to you every single week. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Yes, you, I'm looking right at you, and I will see you all in the next video. See ya.
Go back. Drop in and just smack the.
Sensational.